Big mistake at 21, moving out before I could truly afford it. Months of scouring online listings, calling about shoebox apartments, and begging friends to be roommates. Freedom was the ultimate prize, and anything less felt like a prison sentence. Then, a beacon of hope, a Facebook post advertising a room for rent. 2-bedroom house, owner renting out the spare room. Messaged the guy, got a reply instantly. A few questions, then a document, a mountain of rules, mostly common sense stuff like quiet hours and guest limitations. Agreed to everything, and that same day, I swung by to check out the place. Wow. Spotless. Picture perfect. Decorated like a scene straight out of a design magazine. Furnished to the nines with plush couches, trendy throw pillows, and enough decorative lamps to rival a Broadway play. But the owner, Terry, late 20s, threw me off. Didn't match the house at all. Grungy t-shirt, mismatched socks, and a strange way of talking that made you feel like you were listening to a riddle wrapped in an enigma. Blinded by the freedom dream, I ignored the dissonance. A week later, a packed rental van, boxes galore, and I was pulling into the driveway, ready to embark on this new chapter of glorious independence. Stepped inside, and did a double take. Empty. No decorations, no furniture, except a lonely couch in the living room, its worn leather screaming of countless movie nights. Totally different vibe. Terry stood there, oblivious, chattering excitedly about his new roommate like a kid who just got a puppy. I asked about the furniture, the drastic change from the pictures. Ignored my question completely. Straight to shoving boxes around, muttering something about needing to redecorate for a more minimalist vibe. Weirded out, but I moved in anyway. After all, a roof over my head and a, somewhat creepy, roommate beat the alternative of crashing on a friend's couch. Weeks flew by. Barely saw Terry. Always working, late nights that stretched into the early hours of the morning. Then, a month in, the weirdness escalated. Terry stopped coming home most nights. Maybe once a week, around 2 or 3 a.m., I'd hear him creep in, the floorboards groaning under his weight. He'd clatter around downstairs, muffled noises suggesting hurried activity, then leave again, vanishing for another week. Part of me didn't care. The house to myself was a perk, a chance to blast music without complaints and sprawl out on the entire couch like a starfish. But the other part was buzzing with curiosity. Why the sudden reclusiveness? He wanted a roommate, now he's never here. Was there something shady going on under my roof? Then, one night, 2 a.m., weeks since I'd last seen Terry. A jolt. Banging on my door, his voice booming my name with a panicked edge. Heart pounding like a drum solo, I scrambled out of bed. Terry stood there, dripping sweat, eyes wild and darting around the hallway like a cornered animal. "Don't leave your room," he barked, his voice hoarse. Before I could even stammer a question, he yanked the handle clean out of the door, slamming it shut with a force that rattled the entire house. Speechless, I listened as he stomped downstairs. Curiosity gnawing at me like a persistent mouse, I cracked the door open a sliver. The sound of something heavy being dragged across the floor, heading towards the garage. Adrenaline kicked in. This wasn't late-night snack cravings. This was something serious. I raced downstairs, following the noise. A trail of mud snaked across the kitchen floor, leading towards the garage door. Yanked on it, locked from the inside. This was bad. Better to cut my losses and get myself out of here. I bolted for my car, phone in hand, dialing the police as I peeled away from the curb, tires screeching in protest. They arrived to find an empty house, no Terry, the mud trail mysteriously vanished. Days of investigation revealed a shocking truth: Terry wasn't the owner. He was subletting illegally. The documents I signed, fake. Terry probably wasn't even his real name. He disappeared without a trace, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a lingering sense of unease. No clue what he was up to, but his desperate pleas for me to stay in my room and his vanishing act screamed he was hiding something dark. the biggest question mark. Why did he want me as a roommate so badly? What were his plans for this mysterious late-night activity that involved heavy objects and a garage? I barely escaped before finding out the hard way. The whole experience chills me to the bone, a constant reminder that sometimes, things that seem too good to be true, really are not. "3 years back, for work, I moved a few states down the East Coast to a new city. Tight on cash, a pre-move visit wasn't in the cards. Luckily, it was just a rental. Mid-September, the movers loaded everything up, delivering it to the house. The landlord, super nice, even let them in to unload since I wouldn't arrive for another week. Finally, a Monday evening, I pulled up and saw the place for the first time. Boxes everywhere, furniture scattered, a mess, but the house itself seemed alright. Interesting layout, single story, with the kitchen and living room on one side, separated by a long hallway leading to all the bedrooms and bathrooms. Exhausted from the long drive, I tackled the master bedroom first, assembling the bed with the lingering promise of sleep. No clock yet, so I have no idea what time it was, but in the dead of night, a strange sound woke me. Thinking it was the house settling in, creaks and groans you expect from an unfamiliar place, I decided to check it out, see if it needed mentioning to the landlord. Up I got, padding towards the source of the sound down the hallway. As I neared the doorway, the noise stopped abruptly. Eerie silence replaced it. Pitch black hallway. Flicked on the light, nothing there. Cautiously, I walked down, peeking into the living room, looked the same, bathed in the moonlight streaming through the window. Just to be sure, I flipped on the lights. Footprints, scattered all over the floor, weaving between the boxes. Figured it was the movers, and with nothing else amiss, I retreated back to the bedroom. Falling back asleep wasn't easy. The sound stopping at the door just wouldn't leave my mind. Tried explaining it away as the house settling, but nothing clicked. Drifting back to sleep felt like a minute when a loud thud jolted me awake, followed by footsteps sprinting down the hall. Eyes flew open, darting to my bedroom door, wide open. Footprints, clear as day, leading right up to my bed. Heart hammering in my chest, I scrambled to see who it was, but they were long gone. Just scuffed marks where they ran away in a panic. That night I saw a man in the house. I couldn't talk to him, because he was moving around the house as if walking away from me, but he wasn't hiding. He was very creepy looking, seemed to be like an old man from a long time ago. Was he trapped in the house? Phone in hand, I called the police, barricading myself in the bathroom until they arrived. Oddly enough, they found no signs of a break-in, except for the footprints. I convinced myself they got in during the week before I arrived, maybe while the house was empty between tenants. But something felt off. Unpacking revealed nothing missing, not a single thing out of place. Made me wonder what they were even doing there, but the biggest mystery, why did they approach my bed? And what was that thump right before they bolted? The landlord readily let me break the lease, as long as I kept the whole thing quiet. At the time, I figured he just didn't want anyone scared away, losing out on rent from a new tenant. Now, I'm not so sure. The whole experience left a chill down my spine, a constant reminder that sometimes things are too good to be true, especially a seemingly nice landlord with a conveniently empty house. Why were there footprints leading to my bed? What were they planning to do to me?